Yeah, well, my name's Ross Stewart. I'm the director of Cloud9. We're helping Egg out with their offline events and also things like video creation and other content creation, things like that. So we've only just recently joined up, and I think there's going to be some really interesting things, especially with Web Wednesdays and other events coming up soon.
So you have seen a lot of big transitions from traditional books to online materials. So do you think what is the next future trend for web, travel web?
Well, I think just as, a lot of trends are going these days, it's going more video based. So before we have a lot of text, we have a lot of photos online, and now it's going to probably move into, since we get more bandwidth, there'll be more video. So, there's nothing better than actually, clicking on a place and actually seeing the room or seeing the actual place you're in, because people can type and all they want and rate all they want, but when it comes down to what you can actually see and what you can hear, only video can really do that.
Okay, I'm here with Vicki, the presenter of Today Web Wednesday. How do you feel when you're about to speak in the next 2 minutes?
Well, I have my glass of wine, so actually I'm feeling quite relaxed. So no, it's really good. There's quite a few people have turned up. It's a good crowd. I know Sieng's bought, so Sieng, the founder of Egg, has brought quite a few important people down tonight to listen to me. So no pressure whatsoever. I feel good. It's talking about my experience at Lonely Planet and also sort of, I guess, my time here at Vietnam and how I think Lonely Planet how they should approach the future. There's a lot of uncertainty around Lonely Planet at the moment with them being sold for the second time in the last 5 or 6 years. So I just want to give my sort of view on it, having worked there.
Okay, so why did you leave BBC to Vietnam? What brought you to Vietnam?
Well, I left Lonely Planet originally because nothing to do with Lonely Planet itself. I mean, there were some frustrations in terms of, it was slow in its progression. I didn't necessarily agree with its direction. But mainly it was because, everything's going on in Asia. And I wanted to get a little piece of the pie, There's lots going on there. Everyone's saying that's where you need to be. And the UK's had a recession, slowly coming out of it. And I love the UK, I love London. But it's very hard to get opportunities there. So I thought, right, I'm going to pack my bag, one way ticket to Bangkok, and try and set up my own business over there, a digital training academy. And then on my travels in Singapore, I met Sieng Van Tran, who's obviously the founder of Egg. And he convinced me. It took a lot of convincing.
It's not easy.
No, but he wooed me, and he's brought me here to Vietnam to help run his agency, help create Egg really, and help Vietnam. So I mean, it's incredible what's here. There's just so much you can do compared to back in the UK, and especially digital. It's so unexplored. And I love that because that just means there's loads of opportunity and help people out. And I'm great. I'm so happy I found it here.
Oh, Vicki, thanks for sharing with us.
Thank you, V.
And I wish you best in your presentation.
Great. Thank you very much. Cheers, V.
Hi everyone. So I'm glad to be at the first, Web Wednesday here in Vietnam. Or my first, Web Wednesday.
Oh wow, it's your first time.
In my first time. So I think it's, it's great, the fact that your team has brought that international format here in Vietnam. I think it's helping the industry to get upskilling the knowledge about digital and get them more familiar with the digital industry. So to tell you about how at Google we see, the industry and how do we see, our position here. We're actually we just recently launched, I think, the Google Display Network, which is, one of the biggest product after search for Google. So it's mainly on display, engagement ads, so video formats. So it's getting we're actually now the number one here in Vietnam in terms of ad network. So it's a huge, shift for the industry, for advertisers, where we can provide them a solution to extend their TV strategy, so from offline to online. And so I think the industry is moving, and moving up to speed and getting there with such products in Vietnam.
Okay. So why do you think companies should shift to digital marketing?
Well, I think if you give a perspective of digital from the Vietnam market, everyone now is using digital, right? So if you look at the total population, who are more than 60% under 35, everyone is accessing it. Everyone is going on the internet, and I think you're right. Everyone, before making a purchase or even when it comes to verticals such as travel or even buying the FMCG products, people search online, right? People try to gather the right information, evaluate what is the right price, get peers recommendations. So with the rise of social network sites, so searching, evaluating, what we call the zero moment of truth from Google, it's something that marketers cannot deny anymore. So yes, we should. They all should get into digital, either via search, via display, and another piece which is very important is mobile phone. Well, thank you for inviting me, and then I wish you all the best for the next coming up Wednesday. I think it's great that people like you and your company has brought that to.
Sure, my name is Darren, and I founded a company called TouchMBA.com that helps match MBA candidates to top MBA programs abroad.
What about you, John?
My name is John Myers. I'm a user interface designer and do mostly client work. And I'm also working on a startup called TweetStakes, which is a Twitter brand promotion platform.
Wow. So you're in digital industry. Are you interested in travel industry, the topic today?
Go ahead.
I don't know what the future trends would be, but what I would like it to be would be everything just comes on my phone, whatever I need. Mobile, yeah. To find hotels, flights, places to eat, get me from point A to point B. I think that'd be a lot. What I really appreciate is not having to carry a lot of stuff. So
that's true, rather than carry Lonely Planet books everywhere.
That's right, and I've done that for a long time.
Oh, really? Okay. What do you like about coming to Web Wednesday?
Connecting with other like-minded people, other people in digital, other entrepreneurs, other people working on startups.
How about you, Dan?
It's my first time. It's my first Web Wednesday. I'm a Web Wednesday virgin right now, so
So many first time today.
Yeah, well, hey, that's a good thing, I guess. So we'll see how it goes.
Well, we know. Victoria, who's only been here several months, but it seems like a lot of people want to hear about her secrets. And maybe we'll see a bit of her naughty, well, I guess I'm going to let Victoria take it from here, okay? So please give a round of applause for Victoria Pester.
Thank you very much, Chris. That was a big secret photo. If I reveal all my dirty little secret. Right, well firstly I just want to say thank you to everyone that's made the effort to come out here tonight. I realise with the gloomy weather and things like that, hopefully we can sort of brighten your day by me revealing all my secrets about my time at Lonely Planet.
I wanted to go explore the world. I heard Asia was a bit of a big deal. Everyone was talking about it. I wanted a little piece of the pie. So I bought a one-way ticket to Bangkok and headed to Asia with the plan of setting up my own business, my own digital marketing academy. And on that journey, I met who a lot of you will know, Siang Van Tran, who is the founder of Egg. And he convinced me, he's a good persuader, I give you that. He convinced me to come to Vietnam to help run his agency and just sort of see what was going on here, see the adventure that a lot of you are sort of on that adventure right now, and you can see sort of the possibilities available for that. People, being in Vietnam has very much opened up the opportunity for people to be more confident, see the world meet people they never could have before, as they create new identities online that lacks the restrictions that they'd get in the physical world. So this post I put up last night, and since then I've had 30 messages from poor blokes. You think they're in for a chance. I think about 50 people have poked me, or whatever that means. I don't even want to know what that means. And so I know you're interested on who I chose. Well, I'd like to introduce you to Nigel. Nigel's my new boyfriend. Say hello to Nigel. There you go. You know, what does technology mean for the world? And Nigel, you know, he probably cares. You know, as I mentioned, that we're living in two worlds, the physical and the virtual. You know, with technology around, the possibilities of technology, you know, there is huge potential for anything really. You know, the barriers have really been lifted. The moderation of the internet is becoming more and more important as people are getting this power with this new form of identity and identities, like multiple identities. So I mean, that takes me to my next point. No, it's all about power to the people. And I personally think this is actually a positive thing. You've always got to take the negative with the positive. But the people are the ones driving the change. The technology's there. I mean, obviously the people are developing the technology, but it's how the people are consuming it, how they're using it and taking it forward that's making the difference. So the big ugly word of globalization that makes me shudder because I had to do a whole essay on it at university. But globalization, I think, I mean, my view, I mean, that's actually a pretty bad definition of it. But I think Lonely Planet actually created the first wave of globalization. Okay, it didn't involve technology, but what they did is by producing this Bible, this first guide, it opened up the world to people that just didn't think it would be possible to do these things and see these things. You know, going all the way across Asia and ending up in Australia on like not much budget. You know, most people thought traveling was for the elite. You know, you had to have a certain level of money, education. You know, it was a scary world out there. You didn't know what awaited you. You didn't know where to stay. You know, there were dangers involved. By Lonely Planet producing this first Bible, so to speak, Asia on the Cheap, it opened up huge opportunities for people, and it opened up the world. And that's why I think Lonely Planet was kind of the first version of globalization. Okay, so Lonely Planet is beyond. I mean, it's great that none of you guys said travel guide, actually, because that's the easy one. I think the reason with Lonely Planet and how it's struggled to really develop and get to keep up with everything is because it's got stuck on being a travel guide. And I think they need to remember the essence of what it is. It's about empowerment. It's about giving someone the ability to see the world and remove the sort of walls and restrictions and the mystery around the world. So, a bit more information about Lonely Planet. Unless you've been living under a rock, you know, I'm sure you kind of know a few things about Lonely Planet. Sorry if that has offended you, by the way. So, Lonely Planet, Tony and Maureen Wheeler, very fashionable kids in their sexy t-shirts there. This is a quote from them. So, a beat-up old car, a few dollars in the pocket, and a sense of adventure. That's what they thought when they set off on their honeymoon after meeting on a bench in Regent's Park in the UK. It's all very romantic. Bunch of hippies, 70s, you know. And yeah, they crossed Europe and Asia in a banged up old car, ended up in Australia. And it was just, when they got back, they were obviously absolutely skint. But also, all of their friends were saying, this is such an amazing experience. You can't keep this yourselves. You have to share this with the world. You know, it was something that was very unknown during the 70s. And so their friends pushed them. And they were like, okay. And they spent hours staying up at night at the kitchen table, you know, putting together every scrap that they'd picked up, every bit of information, any pictures. And then was born the first travel guide, which is Across Asia on the Cheap. And in just 1 week, they sold 1,500 copies when traveling around in Asia, and travel guides then were just pretty much an unknown. So they knew they were onto a winner. And then obviously Lonely Planet was born out of that. So then 2 years later, they did their second journey, and out of that was born Southeast Asia on a Shoestring, which is one of still their bestseller. Obviously, they updated. And then that led to more books, different destinations, Australia, and then obviously the rest is history. So that's how they started. It was born out of passion. It was born organically, just out of something that they wanted to do. They saw a gap in the market. There was an addressable audience, obviously based on the number they sold, but they didn't even realize what they were doing. It was just, maybe it was a bit of luck, who knows. Fast forward over 40 years now, so I think they're due for their 50-year anniversary soon. You know, what has happened in that time? That is a long, long time. Now, it's gone to become the world's most successful travel guide in the world. You know, that's a pretty impressive thing to say. Printed over 100 million books. Now, I can't even imagine what 100 million books looks like. They had a website in the early 90s. The Thorntree Forum became a part of that website very early on. They very much believed in the community and the sharing and the experience. That was always their passion, not actually the sales of the books. But they needed something to fund all their jollies, obviously. And then it evolved into ebooks, apps. At one point, I mean, this was 6 months ago, the last time I was there, I believe, or even longer. They were achieving around 149 million page views a month. So for that as an advertising opportunity, the amount of eyeballs that are on your content, and good content with a good quality brand, you know, that around, I think 70% of their revenue was finally coming through advertising rather than the sales of a book. They had over 1 million followers on Facebook and Twitter each, so 1 million each. So huge communities of people following them. And then they started to introduce travel services, so bookable things, trips, tours, hotels, flights, things like that through partners. So the rather sad downfall of Lonely Planet. So in 2007, BBC Worldwide acquired Lonely Planet, around 75% of it. I mean, I say sad, that wasn't sad, obviously. It was lots of opportunity. You got to use the resources of the BBC, really help it out, build out the content, help monetize, use the advertising department of the BBC. You know, it was huge potential. And their one condition was, don't forget the essence of the Lonely Planet brand. You know, you need to keep that. But then in 2011, it became the sole shareholder. Maureen, they both, the Wheelers moved away, Tony Wheeler moved away from the brand, and they just started to become ambassadors moving around the world. Very nice for some people. And then obviously I joined, and then obviously everything was great. And then in 2013, when I left, by the way, when everything went bad, Lonely Planet was sold for not $121 million. It was sold for $121 million less than BBC Worldwide paid for it. I mean, that is a huge, huge loss and devaluation. I think it was devalued far too much, but obviously I'm not there at the moment, but obviously they're in a bit of a desperate state. And this is why. So this is a rather depressing graph, put in rather pretty Google colors to make you feel a bit better about it. So the decline of the printed guidebook. There was a little peak around 2010, but pretty much it's not a very pretty picture about what's happening in print. And this isn't just guidebooks, I think this is pretty much print overall. And it's not just happening to Lonely Planet, it's happening all over. I mean, Lonely Planet is managing to actually keep its market share and picking up the people that are actually dying. But there was an interesting interview with one of the guys from Lonely Planet recently during this whole new acquisition with our cowboy in the south of America. Please don't sue me. Very rich. And he said, you know, the reason we're surviving is we've got that competitive edge. You know, we are the market leaders. We're leading the way. We've always been one step ahead. We've always been early adopters. You know, they were one of the first ones out of Frommers, Folders, Rough Guys that had ebooks. So that was their view, and I thought that was quite interesting, as I think that's been the main downfall of Lonely Planet, that they had tunnel everyone else online, monetizing the content online, absolutely. Okay, I need people to click for me, it's died. Okay, TripAdvisor. By the way, they've actually stolen the Lonely Planet slogan slightly. To get the truth, then go. It was actually Tony Wheeler that said, you know, you've done the hard bit, now go. So they kind of stole that a little bit. Anyway, so TripAdvisor, user-generated content, know how to monetize it. You know, they're a good competitor to compare to, you know, the size, how to make money out of people coming to your site. but it's user-generated content. It's very tough to create content that people trust. They've had huge trust issues. They've had people suing them left, right, and centre. People doing fake reviews. They haven't had it easy. So again, that's not necessarily who they should be comparing themselves to. Slide. What about an OTA, online travel agents? I know it seems like a strange one, but as it's become content is king, the strategy's changed very much. Companies that sell travel online have realised, they spend millions on PPC getting customers. And they've started to realise that content is a great way, not like sticky content, getting people to convert and stay, but also to bring the traffic in if it's good quality, linkable content. But still, not the same. Again, their USP is selling holidays. Lonely Planet's USP is content, so still not the same. Slide. Wiki Travel, again, it's a cloud-based website, people writing articles, but it's still user-based. It's still not an independent voice. It's still not trustworthy. It's still, it's not the same as Lonely Planet. We've got to think bigger. Lonely Planet had to think bigger. Who should we be comparing ourselves to? What about Wikipedia? Wikipedia is one of the biggest information sites out there. It was a while ago, but when I was at school, I used to quote this in my essays. They don't allow it anymore, and I must have been writing a whole lot of crap. But, lots of people use it every day. Even Google uses it in their knowledge section in the SERPs. It's a huge amount of information, and it opens up knowledge across the whole world. Again, that whole globalization thing. But they don't really monetize it. So, I know this is a little big, but what about Google? Google is... it accesses information across the whole world. It connects people to information and empowers them and shows them, what they're not seeing in their physical day-to-day life, but they can virtually find out or be anywhere. And they know how to monetize. And I know it's obviously a long shot, but I think if Lonely Planet thought more like Google, then they could get where they need to be. Reinventing the wheel. So a lot of businesses try and do this, and this is something that Lonely Planet tried to do. People try and reinvent the wheel over and over again. The wheel's great. It works. It gets you from A to B. The reason no one's redesigned the wheel is because it bloody works. And I think what Lonely Planet tried to do is change that wheel rather than making that wheel better. Content is king. I know everyone's been hearing this for years. Online travel agents are scrambling to get the best content in order to drive more people to their site and to stay on their site. When you go on Hitwise, most of the traffic before going to their site, most of the traffic coming back is coming from sites like TripAdvisor and Lonely Planet, and they want to keep people on their site and their portal without going away. So they're really investing in the content, but really that's not their USP. They sell holidays. And where Lonely Planet went wrong is they tried to do it in reverse. They thought, well, we've already got the content. We've already got the traffic. So we've done the hard bit. Why don't we then link the website by selling travel services, linking it with third party? Actually, about 5 years ago, they tried to do it themselves and deal with hotels directly, and it just went... It was a very expensive mistake, and it went horribly wrong. But even when I was there, they were still trying to redo their hotel product, and it took a long time. It took a lot of resource. But really what they were doing is they were trying to change the wheel into a bit of a square shape. So all it did is it just felt very uncomfortable, it didn't fit right, and it just got you nowhere. And it cost a lot of money during that time. Slide. Not change the wheel, but souped it up. Change the chassis. Okay, I'm not very car orientated here, so bear with me. Updated the engine, made it faster, made it sleek, more out of date than the guidebooks. Now, the guidebooks are printed every 3 years. It's out of this world to think that can happen. So now they're just constantly chasing their tail. So fresh content, video, social, and one thing that the BBC Worldwide was trying to get us to think was that single view of the customer. In our advertising, we would offer people the opportunity to sell to an Australian audience on a Vietnam page. But that was it. Nothing deeper, nothing more about the customer. We didn't know anything anymore about the customer. So I think what they needed to do is produce this killer content, get people to come to the content and learn from them through the communities, through social, through single sign-up, And once you have that information, once you have that profiling of the customers, then you can sell your tags and your advertising at a premium. So you're doing the same amount of work and you're getting more money for it. I think there's a huge opportunity missed there. And fundamentally, it's building a network. They have the resources and they have the assets to own a very incredibly powerful network, and they haven't got that yet. So how I think, so I've obviously preached a lot, and they're probably going, all right, well, you do a bloody better job then. Okay, I'll try. But going back to the very first point that I made about, my Toria Peters, the, Miss Mongolia, this virtual identity, how can we use that knowledge that there's these multiple identities, people getting more confidence, access to information, being able to see the world online? How can we use that? How can Lonely Planet use that? So how about other travelers meeting other travelers, playing activities, socializing? What about providing a virtual platform where people who can't in their physical self travel the world, virtually travel the world using Lonely Planet? People that don't have the confidence, why don't you travel the world virtually first? See that it's not such a scary place. Share your experiences. Watch everyone else's experiences. Learn that the world is not such a big place after all. And everyone's very, very similar in terms of their fears and their joys and their passions. And it's empowering individuals. How do we empower them across the world to learn about the rest of the world, about the environment, about cultures, about people? Lonely Planet has the brand to do this. And I don't think they actually believe in themselves enough to be able to go out and create platforms using Lonely Planet, not Wenzani and a new brand, but using the Lonely Planet brand to launch these new ideas in this sort of virtual world, to open up the world and embrace this fourth wave of globalization. So technology is ready, consumers are ready. Is Lonely Planet ready? And I'm not 100% sure it is. So just a summary, thank you for bearing with me. I realise you just had to listen to me talk at you for a very long time. So as a bit of a summary, multiple identities across the physical and virtual world. How do people deal with that? How do governments deal with that? How do you monitor? How do you make sure, there's cyberbullying, what does the future hold for that? Power to the people. Companies need to realise just how powerful users are online with this new virtual identities they have. And this new voice that they find, how do you deal with that sort of thing? And how do you leverage it? Don't try and invent the wheel. People do it over and over again. Be resourceful. This is why I love Vietnam. You guys are so resourceful. I see people, I be in the middle of nowhere and suddenly someone goes down the river in a boat selling me a melon. It's incredible, this place. And I think in the West, people have got a bit lazy, whereas here they've learned to, what have we already got and how can we make it better? And that's what Lonely Planet needs to learn how to do. They've been spoiled, I think. Content is king, never forget it. Monetize your content. It's there. People are engaging with your content. There's all these people there. Find the best way to monetize that. People are wasting so many opportunities. And do not be afraid to think big. As long as you're always being true to your essence, like Lonely Planet, when I compared them to, they should look at their competitor as like Google or something. Yes, it's huge. Yes, it's slightly outrageous. But people should think big. As long as you're always doing what your brand originally was good at doing, you're fine. And be lean. Obviously, everyone should always be lean. I need to be more lean. But it's the key to any success of any business. The reason startups can get big very quickly is they're flexible and they're lean and they're agile. And Lonely Planet, because it's nearly 50 years old, has forgotten how to be lean. It's forgotten its heritage, and it needs to get that back. So that's it. That's me. Hopefully you enjoyed that, learned a little bit more about Lonely Planet, and go out and help them out and watch the news and see what happens to them. But yeah, if anyone's got any questions, now's your opportunity.
Big potential killer for sites like TripAdvisor.